Good afternoon, guys. Go ahead and shake hands for me, please.
Play in the rear view mirror. Non-conference play done for the Dayton Flyers and the Stetson Hatters. Both of the really young football teams that are out with something to prove this year open up their PFL slate here in late September. A chance to make some noise. Stetson under a new head coach. Dayton has looked strong in non-conference. They look to build on it as the Flyers play host to the Hatters to open up their 2025 PFL schedule. Alongside Josh Copeland, Luke West-Puley with you this afternoon. And Josh, Dayton has really owned the recent series against Robert Morris. It came right down to the wire, but this team has fought tooth and nail into the fourth quarter of pretty much every game they've played this year through 4 weeks. And the Flyers come away with a really impressive road victory, and they're feeling pretty good about where they're at as they head into PFL play.
Yeah, anytime you're going into conference play and you have a young team like UD does, you want to make sure you can win those close games. You want to make sure that your team has the grit, and you work all summer for this, so they're looking strong going into conference play.
For Stetson on the other side, a little bit of some head scratching through the first few weeks of the season as the Hatters come in 1-3. With a couple of blowout losses to their first 2 FCS opponents of the season in the last 2 weeks. They were thumped at home last week on Family Weekend against the Harvard Crimson. But a team that features 53 true freshmen, one of the youngest teams in the nation under first-year head coach in Mike Jasper, starts out conference play here on the road up north. Got some Florida type of weather. Temperature in the mid-70s, and the kick is away as Dayton is set to receive. And the kick is hauled in out near the goal line, and a break going the other direction. A pretty nice-sized return for Gavin Locko to set the Flyers up with good field position on this opening drive.
Yeah, that's a great kickoff return, and that's what you kind of want to do. You want to start the game fast and get good field position, and I mean that's a key for wanting to win. A key to victory is special teams play and field position and controlling the ball, and so they started off with a great one there.
Yeah, talking about field position for Stetson, tried to start things off with a bang last week in a surprise onside kick to start the game against Harvard. They didn't recover it. That really put them behind the 8 ball as they fell behind 45-0 at halftime and an eventual 59-7 loss. Here's Bryce Schondelmeyer. And he looks to throw on first down and just overshoots Michael Masseri as he faked the run up the gut. And it's 2nd and 10 coming up for the Flyers.
I like that play call right out the gate. Kind of want to start fast, like I said earlier, and you had a chance to hit him over the middle, and those are the timing plays that as the season goes on, those to complete a little bit more in the zone and the defense.
Bryce Schondelmeyer, quarterback without a ton of game experience coming in. First-year Flyer from Youngstown State. He's seen his passing attempts decrease every week with Dayton's rushing attack really starting to pick up steam, but pretty efficient when he had to be last week. This is what killed Dayton, though, in the game against Robert Morris.
Ball start. Offense. Number 52. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Dayton came in with 5 penalties in their first 2 games of the season, had 4 on a drive last week, and those procedural ones have just caused the coaching staff to bang their heads against walls.
Yeah. Coach said, if it's a penalty on discipline, he kind of gets upset, but if it's a penalty on effort, he can live with it.
That puts Dayton behind the sticks on 2nd and 15. Pitch out left goes to Hackett, and no wrinkle there. He's bottled up. Hackett goes nowhere.
Stetson's defense flew well to the ball, and that's what you want, especially when you have 53 freshmen, true freshmen, and you have a young team. You want to see them fly to the ball and make great plays and get tackles for loss.
It was the grad student Trey Lockhart that led the rallying effort for the Hatters. They've got Dayton way behind. 3rd down and 17 for the Flyers. Schondelmeyer over the middle into a tight window. He's got Masseri out to midfield. And talk about timing. Dayton made that adjustment, and there's the first chunk play of the day for the Flyers.
Yeah, that was they tried to hit it, that same play concept on the first play, and kind of just overthrew him a little bit. But when you trust your quarterback and you have faith in your team, you come back to what works.
Michael Masseri has been the chunk play guy for Dayton. A catch of 19 or more yards now in every game this season for the Flyers, and gets his on the first drive to move the chains. High snap for Schondelmeyer. Hackett met in the backfield, fights forward, but doesn't get anything. Just back to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, you mentioned it earlier when quarterbacks pass completions or passing attempts, let's say, has dropped over the last couple games. But when you're running the ball really well, it opens up the passing game. It opens up big plays, and it's a great balanced attack that UD has.
You expect the fronts really on both sides for Stetson to be a whole lot better than they were last week, as they really had no answer for Harvard's rushing attack. Schondelmeyer again looks to throw. There is pressure from behind, but he delivers a bullet over the middle and breaking into the secondary. This goes all the way in for a touchdown. And Dayton jumps in front as the Flyers start things off with a bang.
That was a great pass. Once again, right over the middle. Stetson was in a zone defense, it looked like, and they just hit him right in the middle of the field, the nice pocket. Yep, you see the linebackers dropping, and the receiver came right underneath, and it was a foot race after that.
That is Donovan Weatherly for the Flyers that takes it to the house. A 50-yard catch. Dayton has had a big play offense all year long, and they start things off with some fireworks on their opening drive. It takes them just over 2 minutes to open the scoring.
That's a great start. When you talk about you have a home game, conference play, family weekend, nothing better than get a fast start, put a score on the board early, and put the Hatters behind the ball.
Let's get another look. Ray Schondelmeyer, after just one misfire early in that drive, looked really sharp.
Yeah, and that's what they saw, that, the coaches in the box, and they see it on the field. They say, okay, we had what we wanted, we just didn't execute, and we're going to come back to that. And I think they're going to come back to that a lot during this game, because linebackers drop in the zone, and when you let somebody cross your face, it leaves open middle zone that's open for completions.
5 plays, 64 yards, 50 of them coming on that final play. The catch by Donovan Weatherly to get the Flyers into the end zone. This has been the struggling point for a young Stetson team. They lost to an NAIA program in Weber International in week 1, and they have fallen behind early in games just far too often. See if this team has finally developed a punch back that they've really lacked through the first few games of the year.
Yeah, if you have a young team, you kind of want them to see, you want to see what they're made of when they kind of get punched in the mouth, so to say, and scored on early. You want to make sure that your team can bounce back with the right efficiency.
Up the tightrope down the far side. That is run by Troy Flowers across the 35-yard line.
That's a great answer back. You get scored on, you kind of want to make sure you have some energy and momentum coming back, and to have a great kickoff return there to get you on the other side of the 30-yard line, that puts the offense in great field position.
They mark him at the 32 as he stepped out a little bit earlier. And now we see a Stetson offense that has just been a complete revolving door. They used 3 quarterbacks last week. They start with Cale Alexander, and he hands it off on first down. Marvin Duffy Jr. spins for a chunk pickup of 7 yards.
Yeah, when you're constantly rotating quarterbacks, that kind of breaks up the consistency, that breaks up the timing with the receiver. So it'll be interesting to see how they go throughout this game.
Handoff goes up the middle again, and Caden Betts gets swarmed for Stetson. Third down and 3 coming up.
Yeah, one of the keys of the game is O&D line and how the line of scrimmage moves. And UD they did a great job there getting behind the line of scrimmage and making a tackle for loss.
Stetson held under 3 yards per carry against Harvard last week and only mustered 56 total yards on the ground. Third down, mid-sized loss there, call it 6 now for the Hatters. Flyers show pressure. Alexander back, throws off his back foot, deep down the far side, incomplete, but a flag. Aiming for Austin Hill, the former Ball State Cardinal who's coming back up to the Midwest. Tayron Spencer back in coverage. And
Pass interference. Defense, number 34. 15 yards from the previous spot. Automatic, first down.
That's a tough spot for Spencer to be in as a DB. The ball's underthrown on kind of a go route, and you can't really see if you don't get your head around, and the receiver stops, as you can see here. The receiver kind of slows down to the ball, and he's just right in the wrong spot at the wrong time. And that's the unfortunate part about being a DB is when those balls are like that, you have to make sure you turn your head, try to locate the ball, and bat it down.
so that moves Stetson into Dayton territory. Alexander hands it off down the right side, and Betts is bottled up.
Great penetration by UD's D lineman there, and once again, when you can stop the run, that kind of makes the team one-dimensional. And when you have a rotating carousel of quarterbacks and you force them to pass, that timing, like I was talking about earlier, that's all out of whack. And so when you have that, it puts Stetson in a tough position.
Stetson's a team that really is unorthodox with their personnel in a lot of different places. Betts ahead for about a yard back to the original sticks, but this is a team that earlier in the week Trevor Andrews said it's pretty hard to scout. They've got a new coaching staff. They've completely changed everything that they're going to do, but they've used 3 quarterbacks. They've used about 6 running backs regularly. They use 12 O-linemen. They go about 8 deep on the receiver front.
Yes.
They've got multiple tight ends. They have guys that play both ways. This is a nightmare if you're a video coach, but you talk about it. Feels like it could be a little difficult on the other side for the Hatters to just develop rhythm when you're rotating that many guys in.
Yeah, for sure. It's tough to rotate rhythm, and when you're UD and it's kind of scouting, you just have to rely on fundamentals of your scheme.
Alexander takes the bulk of the reps at QB, and he's back to throw. An underthrown ball, it's picked off. A fight for it on the near sideline. Who ends up with it? Both guys clinging for dear life. Well, Dylan Redmond ends up with it for Stetson. And the officials signal.
Ruling on the field. Ruling on the field is simultaneous possession. Therefore, the ball belongs to the offense. First down, Stetson.
There you hear it, simultaneous possession. So the FIU transfer, Dylan Redmond, comes up with it. And another underthrown ball, but somehow found a way.
Yeah, they tried to hit the back shoulder there, but DB played coverage great. He got on the high shoulder, looked back, and was able to locate the ball. And that's when you just fight for it.
It's Cam Cope, one of the captains for this defense for Dayton. Alexander back to throw, wide open to the far side, and an easy touchdown. It's Redmond. His second of the year, and the FBS transfer gets Stetson even as they blaze down the field to score.
Yeah, that was a double move. That was a great route by the receiver there. It was a double move, quarterback pump faked, and the DB kind of broke on the out, and he hit him over the top for the touchdown.
A couple of tough games back-to-back for Dylan Redmond against the 2 best opponents of the year to date for Stetson. The former high school quarterback gets it done to get the Hatters in the end zone. BAT driven through by Daniel Holbrook. And Stetson ties it up. And if you're Mike Jasper, you got a couple of penalties to aid the drive, which converted a third down, and you got the simultaneous possession call as well. But overall, you have to be thrilled with the answer your offense had.
Oh, for sure. You definitely have to be thrilled, and you're excited. You come from Florida. You have, you didn't play too well the last couple weeks, but you want to see what your team's made of as you get into conference play, and that's a great answer to UD's opening drive.
Again, things didn't start well for Stetson last week, and it really turned into a tidal wave. They were down 28-0 at the end of the first quarter to Harvard. And from that point on, it was pretty much a ball game after the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, when you get down early like that, you kind of don't want your team to kind of give up on the play and give up on the game. So you're excited for games like this when you can see what they're made of and get back out there, and you want to see what their motivation is. And you, like I said, you work all summer, all off season for games like this, and you just want to see them get back and put up a fight.
Stetson went winless in the Pioneer League last year. They're picked 11 teams in the league this season. Kick is away, fielded by Hackett. He's got a hole, and Hackett bursts through across the 30-yard line. And the return game for both teams is getting it done. That's good field position again for the Flyer offense.
Yeah. When you can start their drive off when outside the 30-yard line going in, that just puts the offense in great field position and gives them confidence to go down the field.
Dayton found themselves behind the sticks on their first drive. It didn't matter thanks to a couple of chunk plays. John DeMeyer was 13 for 20 last week for 2 touchdowns and no picks. He hands it off on first down. And not a whole lot there.
Man, it looked like Stetson, they watch film, they regrouped, and their game plan now is to stop the run because their D-line's getting a lot of great penetration on the offensive line. The linebackers are flying downhill, so I think that was a key emphasis in practice all week is stopping the run.
Division II transfer Zachary Goodwin, graduate student on a pretty young Stetson team, leading the defensive front. Second and 9. Gondelmeyer hits Laco on the curl. Through the middle, he's dropped after a short gain.
Great pass and catch. That's what Stetson's giving up is that middle zone. And they're giving up the middle of the field, the hash marks. And so UD is just taking what the defense gives them and just march down the field that way.
That's where we saw those 2 big passing pickups come from Dayton in the first drive. Third down and 6. John DeMeyer checks it down. Hanson has some room, lowers the shoulder and picks up the first down. Ran right through Julian Sampson, the DB, to get across the 45, and Dayton moves the chains.
Yeah, great play call. Great little kind of flare out with the running back that had. Stetson sent somebody from the top side. They sent the linebacker to blitz in, and he just threw away from him knowing that there's going to be open field in the zone by the numbers.
Hanson, who's been the number 2 running back for the last couple of years for the Flyers, only had 4 attempts on the ground last week, but a threat through the air and gets Dayton near midfield. Stetson shows pressure. Play fake over the middle. Masseri on the run, slips out of a tackle, and there he goes. 54 yards to the house and 2 long touchdowns for the Flyer offense.
Great play call. They knew they got this defense that they wanted. They had the offensive personnel. As you see, they kind of started the drive with the same formation. They motioned the running back down so they could see what defense they're in. They hit him right over the middle, right at the hash mark there on a post, and off to the races there.
Michael Masseri, who was held out of the end zone last week for the first time in his Flyer career. The Cincinnati transfer back in for 6. And we got ourselves a shootout in the making. Robbie Smart drives the PAT through. Halfway mark of the first quarter, and already 21 combined points on the board.
Yeah, when you start fast, and this is kind of what you want to see. You want to see your offense get up there and put points on the board. And now it's for UD's defense to come out and put up a good stop. A 3-and-out would be huge here, but if not, you get a force a punt and get the ball back in your offensive hands.
Let's get another look, and you said the words hash to hash, and right now there's just been all sorts of room there for the Flyer offense.
Yeah, when you watch film throughout the week, you see weaknesses in defenses, and you know where you're attacking. It looks like they're attacking right where they want to hash when Stetson drops back in that zone. Their linebackers, they have a little gap in windows, and he's doing a great job of hitting the receiver right in the window.
Right, Schondemeyer so far 6 for 7, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns. Is that good?
I would say so. That's a great start to a game.
He's only about 50 yards shy of his total through the air last week. Well, you're behind again if you're Stetson, after you really felt good about the drive that you had going down the field, tying the game, but your offense doesn't get much of a chance to rest.
Yeah, you're looking for your offense to get some points on the board here.
Stetson will start at the 25-yard line. Gil Alexander so far 2 for 2 for 47 yards and a touchdown. Drive that was aided by field position to start, but again, a couple of penalties got Stetson partway down the field as well.
Yeah, they saw some success with the pass, and I would look for them to come back to that and maybe do some play action and test the cornerback's discipline, because he got beat on a double move the last drive. So you want to make sure that they're disciplined on the defensive side. And offense, just make sure you execute.
Betts on first down, crashes forward. He's stacked up by Sam Schmeezing at around the 30-yard line. Schmeezing had 8 tackles for the Flyers last week in the win over Robert Morris, and comes up with a stop after a 5-yard gain.
Yeah, great. UD's defense is flying to the ball. They're excited. They're running around. They're pushing the O-line back. They are getting tackle for loss. They're getting penetration. That's all you could ask out of a D-line.
Alexander sits in the pocket, delivers over the middle, a tipped ball off the hands of Anthony Benzia, and he got blasted after he touched that football.
That was a great play by the linebacker right there. He stayed underneath the route and made the quarterback just put a little bit more air on the ball, so the safety had time to come over and break up that play.
It's Vincent Ferenzi that was back in coverage. 3rd down and 5 for the Stetson offense. Hatters were 4 of 15 on 3rd down last week. Alexander steps up, still looking to the near side, incomplete. Looking for Will Secker, who followed his head coach from Bethel University in Tennessee. Near side official had his hat off as well, so even if Secker caught that, don't think it would have counted, and Stetson forced to bring the punt unit out for the first time.
Yeah, that's a great drive by UD's defense right there to hold them for 3 and out, and that's a great plastering the receiver. We call that when the quarterback kind of scrambles, find the nearest receiver, stick to them, because you don't want the quarterback to kind of scramble and then have an open shot.
Fair catch called for by Masseri, and he makes it at the 36-yard line. More solid field position for the Flyer offense. Still in the middle stages of the first quarter, but Stetson has gone with that soft zone. Haven't really dealt well with this high-flying passing attack for Dayton. They have stopped the run decently well so far, but they're just giving up big play after big play.
Yeah, when you kind of want, it looks like their focus is to stop the run, but when you do that, you leave gaps in the defense. And a zone works if you can get pressure on the offense to get zone blitzes.
It's a handoff to Hackett, and he finds a crease down the left side to pick up 9.
That was a great play call because on this drive, this possession, it looks like Stetson has kind of dropped back a little bit. They got beat a couple times on some passes, so now they're softening up a little bit, which opens up the run on the inside.
Hackett, who's coming off his best game in almost a calendar year, 97 yards last week. His coach stressed his selflessness to not want to go back out there and try to push for 100 when the game didn't call for it late. Hackett gets brought down by the knees immediately. Maybe gets a half yard, but it sets up a 3rd and inches for the Flyers.
Yeah, Stetson got away with one. They were unsure on the defense. You saw guys moving around. They didn't get the play call, or they didn't call the strong side of the field in time, and so they had a lot of players running around. So that'd be something to watch as the game goes on. Are they getting the calls in? Are they communicating enough in time for the play?
Flyers perfect on 3rd down so far. This is close, but front 5 push ahead for Dayton and get just enough to move the chains.
Once again, just another great play call. We just need a yard. Just get the ball. Just get a yard. Continue to drive and wear down the Stetson defense. When you can sustain drives and make 5, 6, 7, 8 play drives all the game, that just puts wear and tear on the defense.
Play fake. Schondelmeyer looks deep. Now rolls, throws, and finds the hole. Again over the middle of the field. This time it's Dominic Verbansik, who did not have a catch last week.
Yeah, this is great. As quarterbacks scrambling around, I told you last time they had to plaster their defense, and he just sits right there in the middle of the zone, just finds a spot, and you tell your receivers and running backs when the quarterback scrambles, just sit down. Sit down somewhere in the middle of the zone, and you had the ball right there.
And around to Laco with blockers, but a good open field tackle to get out to him as he's brought down by Trey Lockhart.
That's a great play by Trey Lockhart. You call that shooting the alley as a safety. You come downhill, corner forces the ball back inside, and it's just a one-on-one tackle, and that's how you draw it up. Sometimes it's just mano-a-mano, man-to-man, in the gap, and you got to make a play.
Trying to get Laco involved a little bit. That officially goes down as a pass play because of the shovel by Schondelmeyer. Now 8 of 9 for 152 yards. Keep it on the ground on 2nd down. Hansen powers forward for about 2.
Yeah, I like this drive from Dayton. They're controlling the clock. They can do what they want. They feel like they have all the confidence in their run the game to get 3 or 4 yards, which is all you need in a run. And you also the hash mark to hash mark is open, so you can kind of just take your time and read the defense and pick apart.
Starting to see Dayton relax a little bit, start to take a little more time offensively. 3rd down and 4. Schondelmeyer, quick hitter to the outside, and Maseri hung on.
Yeah, that was a great read right there. It looked like the corner had bailed for a cover 3, and the receiver just kind of stopped with a quick out, and you had the sideline wide open there. That's a great play call.
Schondelmeyer with plenty of time, looking end zone. Maseri climbs the ladder 2 first quarter touchdowns for Michael Masseri. And Dayton's up a couple scores.
Yeah, you trust your guy. That's what that's called right there. He had a nice fade on the back side of the end zone, the power line. You just throw it up and use 50-50 ball, and you trust your guy to come down with it.
Masseri doubles his touchdown output on the season in the first quarter. He's a guy who knows a thing or two about getting in the end zone from his time at Kings High School. 29 touchdowns as a high school senior. That was second in America in all of high school football. And the former UC Bearcat puts Dayton in front by a couple of scores. Getting a lot of help thanks to some solid route running and athleticism for Dayton, but they started to go after the outside a little bit on that drive, and most of all, Bryce Schondelmeyer has just had all day to pick apart this zone.
Yeah, the O-line's doing a great job of blocking and giving him time to go through his progression and reads. And when you can kind of hit any time, and like I said earlier, they hit a lot in the hash marks, and that forces the defense to condense a little bit, put more people inside the box to kind of take that away. And when that happens, you leave one-on-one to the outside, and it's your guy versus theirs.
184 yards for Bryce Schondelmeyer in the first quarter. He's 3 yards shy of his mark from last week. And we've got over 45 minutes of football left to play.
I would say that's a great start to the game.
So Dayton's offense, after they got behind the sticks a little bit on their first series of the game, really have not been resisted very much.
No, they have been able to do everything on the call sheet they want. They kind of schemed the game up perfectly. The game plan's working great. So this is one of those games you just want to continue to execute.
Troy Flowers downs this for a touchback. There were never must-score drives in the first quarter, but this feels like a very important one in the game for Stetson to just try and put a damper on what Dayton's doing to you right now.
Yeah, you definitely want to. If you can't get 6, you want to at least get 3. You want to put a sustainable drive in now right now. You want to have at least a 6, 7, 8 play drive, march down the field to give your defense a break because they've been on the field a lot, but also to build confidence in the offense that you can move the ball if you just execute what the play coach is called for.
Del Alexander's still out there. 11 for 20 last week for 113 yards and a touchdown. And he hands this off, and the Flyers are all over it. Betts goes backwards, a loss of 2.
That was a blitz timed perfectly by outside linebacker coming right off the edge, and he met the quarterback at the handoff. And when you can do that, the offense has no time to react.
Second down and 12. Seen too much personnel switch up from Stetson so far in the game. Dayton backs out of pressure. Handoff to Betts, and he's wrapped up. Joe Kingsbury in on the stop. Redshirt sophomore from Frankfort, Illinois.
That play was made by the outside linebacker. He kind of pushed up the field, but he got penetration and forced the running back to cut back. And when you can force the offense the ball to cut back, you have your whole team rallying there. And so that was a great defensive play for everybody involved.
Third and long for Stetson. They sit near the bottom of the PFL in third down conversion percentage, and making it awfully tough on themselves behind the sticks. Pressure coming, throw goes over the middle, it is caught. Room to run down the near side, and that's enough for a first down as Malachi Townsend, the junior from Atlanta, gets some yards after catch. Time runs out on the first quarter, but that is a monumental play into the break for the Stetson offense.
Yeah, they ran a crossing route, and two of UD's players ran into each other and left them open there. But that's what you want to see. You want to get off the field, and you want to sustain a drive.
So we head to quarter number 2 with Dayton leading Stetson 21-7. But if you like offense, you'll want to stay tuned. We got a feeling that we're due for plenty more. Back for the second quarter after this. Stetson offense gets a huge third down pickup to end the first quarter. Now heading deep to try and start the second off with a bang, but not quite in the area of Dylan Redmond.
Yeah, I kind of like that play call. Just take a shot deep coming out off of the quarter. First play of the quarter, just test your receiver, test the DBs, make sure that they're staying disciplined. But you also want to give your guys a chance for the ball, right? You want to make sure that you see the receivers, they're running good routes, they're working hard. You want to make sure you try to reward them with the ball down the field.
First year OC Jared Dodson dialed up the deep ball. Formerly on Mike Jasper's staff at Bethel. Came over from this offseason. Alexander to the outside. A heck of an effort, but a little too tall for Bo Bankston, the redshirt freshman. Coming off a 3-catch game against Harvard, but that's a little bit high. And now you're right back with your back against the wall on third down.
Yeah, that was great coverage. I believe that's by Cam Cope right there. He forced the guy. You have the sideline as your friend. As a corner, you want to force them to the sideline and make them make a tough jump ball play and get your hands to the ball. He played that textbook.
Third down and 10. Alexander flushed, looking, he throws. It is incomplete. Looking for Benzia. A little bit low, and following a clutch third down conversion, just one move of the chains for this Stetson offense.
Yeah, it looked like it was Josh Williams there on coverage, and he did a great job. I said, once the quarterback runs out of pocket, just find the nearest guy and plaster them. They call it plaster and stick to them and make sure that you can't give an open pass.
Dayton nearly gets home with the punt rush. Sari doesn't take the fair catch this time, and he's spun down around the 25-yard line. Special team stop by Mohamed Toure.
Yeah, if I'm Stetson, I'm looking for my defense to put up a fight and get a 3-and-out or force a punt. That's what you need out of your defense. You kind of, on this drive, you can bend a little, but you don't want to break, meaning you don't want to give up that big play for a touchdown. You want to kind of make UD march down the field and take away what they've been good at the first half.
Hackett on first down. Shuffles in the backfield and swallowed up.
And Stetson D-line, they have been getting penetration. It's been kind of hard to run on them, and they have been staying gap sounding, staying in their gaps and making sure that they have to do something else, right? Because last week they got beat a lot with the run, so they look like they made those corrections, but now it's just securing up the gaps in the defense for the pass.
Schondelmeyer finds Masseri in a tight window for a first down.
This was a great design pass play. They had the running back going flare out the outside to take the corner to sit, and you hit him right on the hash mark right between the safety corner and linebacker. Great concept.
Relationship that developed between a couple springtime transfers in Bryce Schondelmeyer and Michael Masseri is really starting to pay dividends for this Flyers team, as Masseri is up to 120 yards receiving with a couple of touchdowns. Hackett tries again. Forced out after a short pickup. Shug Bentley in on the stop for Stetson after a gain of 3.
Yeah, it's a solid play call and great defense. Like I said, Stetson, they're playing the runs game real stout right now. They're making it tough for UD to move the ball on the ground. But once again, when you have that many people in the box like they do now, looks like they got 8-10 people in the box, you have to make sure you secure the downfield.
Hansen makes a man miss in the backfield. Sets up a manageable third down for Dayton's offense.
That's a great play. When you get somebody coming
Number
free
25,
in the back.
25 for the offense may go off for one play due to a helmet off.
Yeah, that's a great play right on to make a guy miss, right? When you have somebody coming free in the back at the end the backfield, you want to make sure you can kind of get quick reactions, make him miss, and get a couple yards.
Third down and 3 set up for Dayton. Stetson, when at this point, has not gotten off the field yet today. This is close from Hackett, but he's short. Gets to the 47, and now Trevor Andrews has a decision to make. Your offense has been on the move. 4th and 1 on your own half of the field. Doesn't even look like much of a decision, though, for Coach Andrews. He's going for this.
Yeah, he's trusted his guys on offense, and if they don't get it, he trusted defense to stop them. So I like this play call.
He's got a chance to really put their foot down on this drive. They call Hackett's number. He's got it with room to spare.
Yeah, great play call. You knew Hackett was going to get a couple yards in there, and you knew this is there are certain moments in the game where you can establish dominance and dominate the field, and this is exactly what they're doing. This is what this drive is right now.
Starting to see that rushing attack start to pick up for the Flyers, and this is how it's really gone this year. We see Mason Hackett sort of pick up steam as the game goes along. Schondelmeyer with some time, sits in, delivers a deep ball in the bucket. Ethan Thulin inside the 10.
That was just pitch and catch. That was a great throw. He got the defense he wanted. He had one-on-one with the corner on the outside. And you just trust your guy to beat him, make a good throw, and that's a great completion.
He had a 45-yard catch for his only reception last week. That goes for 43 for Ethan Thulin. And Dayton set up, goal to go, as they try to get in the end zone for the 4th time early in quarter number 2. Luke Hansen straight ahead. It's about half of the yardage to the goal line.
Yeah, this was a great drive by UD there. They had a great balance of run pass. And when your defense is on the field as much as they are this half, it wears them down. They get tired, and that's when those 2-yard gains turn into 4-yard gains because you're just tired, and then that leaves open a lot of field on the back end for the long scores and long plays on offense.
Every touchdown through the air so far for the Flyers. And what happened there?
False start. Offense. Number 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Well, we couldn't hear what number it was, but it probably could have been about 10 Flyers, I think. Everybody but maybe the center and Lucas Shalal.
Yeah, that's just a little bit of communication right there. And then sometimes as you're kind of having your way on offense, you kind of get overly excited, especially as you get close to the end zone. You're like, okay, this is a chance to score, so you kind of jump the gun a little bit.
Back Dayton up. Keep it on the ground, though. Hansen stays on his feet and cuts it back inside.
That was a great play by Bentley, the number 41 there, the inside linebacker. He got his run or pass read from the lineman, and he shot the gap and was able to meet him in the backfield. So that's the type of stuff you want to see, though, out of your defense. Don't give up. Just don't fall over because they're in the red zone. Still fight, still make plays, and give our offense a chance.
Schondelmeyer to the back corner of the end zone, wide open. It's Laco, and it's 4 passing touchdowns in the first half for Bryce Schondelmeyer.
Yeah, this is textbook pitch and catch. Run kind of a mesh route up top. You have the number 1 receiver coming in, bringing the corner there, and then you just hit him over the top in the back pylon. You can't draw up a play better than that.
Robbie Smart, the special teams player of the week in the Pioneer League this week. Drives the PAT on through. And Dayton in control, and it just continues to feel like every time the Flyer offense is just one play away from having to get off the field and bring the punt team on, they come up with a key execution and they just keep getting in the end zone.
Yeah, when you can sustain drives and continue drives on 3rd down or 4th and short, once again, that just adds confidence to your offense, but that puts the defense in a tough position because they're not getting off the field. They're not getting off the field. So Stetson, if you're on offense, you need a good kickoff return right now to put yourself in good field position, and you need a long drive. You need an 8 to 10 play drive from the offense to give the defense a break, but also give your team confidence going down the field.
Dayton so far has had their way offensively. 277 total yards for the Flyers in the first half. Still with time to play. Flowers up ahead, hit hard, but fights through it for a couple extra yards, and it's right to touchback territory.
And once again, you're Stetson. You want to come out and you want to just put a drive together. You just want your guys to fight. You want them to block. You want them to execute the game plan to a high level, and that's what you're looking for out of your offense in this, especially on this drive. You talk about must-score drives a little earlier. I would say this is a must score. You must get a field goal or at least a touchdown out of this drive.
Stetson makes their first change at quarterback now. But they have some movement up front. And so the first snap is delayed for Chris Stevenson.
False start. Offense. Number 3. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Yeah, that's not the ideal start for this drive. And when you're switching quarterbacks and you're kind of, the cadence is a little different when you go quarterback to quarterback in the game. It might be the same thing, but just slightly different. So that could throw the offensive alignment off just a little bit.
Mention that Stetson uses 3 quarterbacks, by the way. Stevenson has not been one of them so far as he runs it on first down for no gain. But he's now the 4th Hatter to take a snap at quarterback this year.
The offense go out for 1 play due to helmet off.
And it's a quick exit for him as he lost his lid.
But yeah, once again, that just goes into the continuity of the offense, right? And that's the timing's off just a subtle little bit. You don't get all the reps with the 1s or 2s. And then also, like I said, the cadence for the O-line and the center. That is the subtle things that people don't really think make a difference, but they really do make a difference between who's back there.
So this gives way at least for a play for Cale Alexander. Handles a high snap. There was an errant whistle, and now play gets stopped.
Timeout. Stetson. Their first charge timeout of the half.
So Mike Jasper calls timeout, and you hear it. It feels like if you follow college football once or twice a season, because there's maybe a couple teams around the country that do it, but a lot of people talk about how it's really hard to make 2 quarterbacks work. 3 or 4 getting regular reps is essentially unheard of, especially this early in the year. You're not really dealing with any types of injuries or anything like that, but you're just trying to find a solution right now if you're Stetson after, again, you lost to an NAIA program in week 1. You figured things out a little bit in your second game of the year against Warner, but your 2 games against teams out of the FCS have not gone well really on either side of the ball, and you're just kind of in camp, in season almost, it seems like.
Yeah, no, you're right with that. When it's tough to go back and forth between 2 quarterbacks, or when, like you said, when you have 3 or 4. Once again, it's just the uncertainty of plays. There's only so many plays you can run in practice, and when you're splitting those reps, guys are coming in uncomfortable. Guys are coming in and maybe they didn't practice that same package in practice, and so it puts a lot of stress on the offense.
This is another run, and Stevenson maybe got back to the line, but talk about that push up front and moving the line of scrimmage. It starts shifting in Dayton's favor in this second quarter.
Yeah, that D-line is, and now when you know you kind of have the lead and you know they kind of have to pass, you can just put in your ears back and go straight at the quarterback.
Stevenson back to throw. Flushed and tore down. Vincent Ferenzi gets back there to bring him down for a loss. And that drive went nowhere but backwards for the Stetson offense.
Great defensive stand by UD right there. They got 3 kind of straight kind of QB runs, if you will. I don't know if they were designed or if they just got a lot of pressure up there to where he forced him outside. But that's a great play. Stay disciplined, stay in your keys, and make the tackle and get off the field.
Vincent Ferenzi had his first TFL of the season last week. Picks up another. He's set to get some really good field position here as they bring the rush and they block the punt. While the Flyers led FCS in block kicks last year, and Dayton gets home. They're set up inside the 10-yard line to try and go up 4 scores.
Yeah, special teams is a big key to the game, and you called it last punt. They almost blocked it last time, and so they saw that from the box, and they knew exactly what they needed to do to get that block.
So get another look.
That's great. You had the personal protectors there, and you sent more people than they can block. And when you have the snap kind of a little slower back there to the punter, it kind of makes it hard for him to get the punt off.
Punt was blocked by Sam Schmeesing. And it sets Dayton up. Goal to go to start the drive, and this won't take long. One play into the end zone. Dominic Verbancic on the catch from John Lemire. And Dayton makes Stetson pay immediately.
Yeah, that's tough for Stetson's defense to get sudden change like that. You think you're getting a break, you get off the field, and you come right back on. And when that happens, people aren't as disciplined because they're not expecting to be out there so fast. So you misread your keys, and they motion one way, they flow one way, then they throw it backside, and the linebacker just missed his read right there.
First touchdown catch of the year for Verbancic. Smart tacks on another. And this Dayton offense just looks unstoppable right now as you get some help from ST. And you talk about playing complementary football. There's really not much else you can do on any side of the ball right now, more than what you're already doing.
Yeah, no, if you're a coach and you drew up a game plan, this is exactly how you would draw it up. Maybe even better than what you would draw it up because you're going out there, you're just doing what you want, how you want it, and that's what you want out of a team.
Six and a half to go in the first half. As Dayton leads at 35-7 in their Pioneer League opener. It's a Flyers team that came in with a fair amount of returners on the offensive side, but you end up with a transfer quarterback that wins the starting job. You add in a transfer receiver and Michael Masseri that's done some nice things, and it all leads to a team that probably feels they can punch above their weight on paper. They were picked to finish in the middle of the conference this year, but the way non-con has gone for this Flyers team, they really feel like there's no reason they can't make some serious noise as they get deeper into PFL play.
Yeah, they definitely can. And when you have transfers come in, it takes a couple games for them to kind of get comfortable, the timing on offense, and just understand and trust each other out there. But the looks of it today, they are firing on all cylinders right now.
Just 3 points away from a season high in scoring. It was in the Thomas More game on this field a few weeks ago. Alexander back out there at quarterback meanwhile for Stetson is pick up a couple of yards. You wondered though how Dayton would work this week as you're playing now your fourth game of the year, but Trevor Andrews talked about how this is really your first normal week of football. You play on a Thursday night in opening week, that leads to a long week heading into your second game of the year as Trey Clark gets near the sticks and give him the first down. Then you have an early bye week going into game number 3, so finally it's your normal play on a Saturday, maybe you stretch out and recover a little bit on Sunday, and then can just focus on one regular week towards your opponent. Zipped over the middle, and Clark, with some glue on the hands, hung on to that and wore a big hit.
Yeah, no, you're right. When you start the season kind of unorthodox, that throws off a little bit of the prep time, and you got an extra day here and you lose a day there. So now to kind of get into the regular flow of things, it's showing that they're kind of right on schedule.
Clark gets the touch again. He's the top running back for the Stetson team. Really had not seen him at all in the early goings of the game. As we approach 5 minutes to go in the half, he's finally in for this drive.
If I'm Stetson, as a coaching staff, I'm just looking for them to still execute. Though, yes, down a couple scores, but you can't. There's not a 28-point play, so you just got to execute, get down the field, and make the plays when you're asked to, and make the completions when you're asked to.
That suffices for Clark as he moves the chains. And you've got a chance if you can maybe run some time off this clock, especially with the way Dayton's moving the ball, to try and put some points on the board, maybe get your defense into the locker room and try and make some adjustments. But remember, you've got a double dip chance as well. Stetson gets the ball at a half. Clark again, walled off.
Yeah, you really want to give your defense a breather right now. They've been on the field a lot, and you want to make sure that you, like you said, eat some clock up, but also want to make sure that they're productive plays, right? You want to just make sure that you're getting positive yards and build up something into the halftime. If you can score right here, that'll add some confidence to know, hey, we can score, we can do what we got to do. The first drive wasn't just a one-off, and that gives confidence coming out, and you make the halftime adjustments as needed.
Alexander finds Will Secker through the middle of the field. Stetson's starting to move the ball a little bit here as we approach half.
Yeah, it was a great play call. You kind of did a double screen, ferret out the backs, and kind of receiver come on the inside. So as a defense, you kind of don't know which direction he's going to go when you kind of run mirror plays on the mirror, let's say schemes on the outsides. So that's a great play call. Get a couple yards in there, get third and short.
Secker played for his head coach at Bethel. Transferred into plays grad year at Stetson. This run goes up the middle for a nice sized gain. And a first down for Zion Griffin. He's the fourth Hatter to get touches on the ground, and it goes to him again as he can't slip out of a shoestring tackle, but leads forward for a couple yards.
Yeah, Stetson's putting together a great drive here, and they're controlling the ball. They don't look too panicked, which is great. They don't look rushed. They're eating up some of the clock, but they're also getting positive yards. And now I would look for them to kind of push the pedal a little bit, kind of maybe do some hurry-up offense, call to play, call with a couple more plays, side extended play clock, sorry.
Alexander to the outside. And out of a tackle, more room as Sean Jones gets inside the 15. And the Stetson offense is starting to catch Dayton in a bit of a lapse. They're in the red zone.
Yeah, that was a great play out there. Great effort by the receiver. You think UD thought somebody else was going to tackle them, and nobody made the play, so you get some great yardage, and you're just marching down the field. That's what you want out of this drive.
7 seconds shy of the 2-minute timeout, and Andrews has seen enough as he calls timeout to try and get his defense to dig their heels in here.
Yeah, and sometimes when you're up by a couple scores, especially as it gets closer to the half, you kind of take the foot off the gas a little bit on defense. You kind of don't hound in on your keys, and sometimes you just need a reminder. Coach call a timeout and just remind you, hey, lock in, guys. Play the defense like we know we can. Read your keys, make the plays, and keep them out of the end zone.
Went into the half tied last week and scored the final 10 points of the game, including a game-winning field goal to take down Robert Morris. But overall, it's a Flyer team that really has impressed more and more each week. There was some frustration after how they opened their season in a game that they really felt was winnable at Eastern Illinois in a pretty difficult environment. They came back home and handled business against Thomas More. A resilient win last week, and this has just been something else from Dayton on all sides of the ball. Alexander to the end zone. Hand fighting, it's pulled in. Dylan Redmond snares it for a Hatter touchdown.
That's what you want to see. You want to, once again, you're marching down the field. The quarterback saw the defense he liked. They saw the play they wanted. They wanted to get one-on-one with the corner outside, and they threw a back shoulder, and that's one of those 50-50 balls, and you just trust your guy to make a play.
Third catch for Redmond, 2 of them for touchdowns.
It's actually really good coverage. It's just sometimes the ball kind of drops a little quicker than you think, and the receiver's out there to grab it, and that's really good coverage, though.
Kick up and through.
That was one of those great coverage, but a better catch.
That's exactly what the Stetson offense was looking for. That is as good of a drive as we've seen from them really all game long. And there's a lot to take from those 2 touchdown drives. It's just been a matter of not having the consistency to move the chains a couple times per drive throughout the first half.
Yeah, and you know, especially when UD, they got up early real fast, and as an offense, you don't get to play your whole playbook right at. Now you're forced to throw the ball more than you maybe had wanted to at the beginning to kind of get back into the game. But that was a great drive. They kind of had a great balance of run and pass, and so you put a score on the board, and now you're just looking for your defense to stop them and maybe get the ball back before half. If not, you get the ball at halftime and just go into halftime on a positive note.
Now it begs the question, how aggressive does Dayton really want to be with this? They're going to try to throw another haymaker right back and shoot down the field to get in the end zone another time. And it's Stetson ball out of half.
Yeah, if I'm Dayton, I don't want to give this ball back to Stetson in this half.
Turned by Hackett as he stays on his feet. Gets across the 25-yard line.
Yeah, I would look for Dayton to control the clock, maybe take
2-minute timeout.
1 or 2 shots downfield just to see what you can get. If not, run the clock out, go into halftime, continue to lead, and don't give Stetson back the ball.
How about this stat line from Bryce Schondelmeyer? 14 for 15, 253 yards, and 5 touchdowns.
He's having a great game, we'll say.
It's a guy that could really sling it. Played his high school ball in the area, started at Arcanum. Lower division ball, he was state player of the year, played his final year at Division I Springfield, where he was a state finalist, first team all-state selection. And he's a guy that had almost 12,000 passing yards in his high school career. He's top 5 in the history of Ohio high school football, but went to Youngstown State, lost in the shuffle a little bit, didn't appear in either season there. But really doesn't look it. He had the chance to play in the first half of spring ball, missed some time in the spring due to illness, but looks like he's played as many college games as anybody else out there on the field.
Yeah, he definitely looks poised, and when you throw for that many yards in high school, you definitely know how to read a defense and put the ball on the money. And sometimes you kind of bounce around a little bit and you don't find the right fit, but it looks like Dayton's the right fit for him. He's out here just having a career there almost.
You were wondering how much Dayton would throw it. Again, a season low 20 passing attempts for him last week. His flag comes in. It's another procedural penalty.
False start. Offense, number 2. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
But Dayton has really slung it in the first half, and for good reason when Schondelmeyer is that efficient. But no matter how well things go, there are always going to be things for the coaching staff to harp on, and these penalties are starting to pile up again.
Yeah, definitely. They had to look to clean those up at halftime.
Schondelmeyer to the far side and misfires to Michael Masseri. Incomplete.
I actually like that play call. They had it set up. It was just a little bit low, but if they were to complete that, it was a screen, receiver screen. They faked it to the right side, came back left. The offensive line were all down the left sideline, and they had a great opportunity for a big gain there.
Schondelmeyer, the third Dayton quarterback ever to have 5 or more touchdowns. Did it in one half of football. He's got a chance for more. With time, deep down the near side, just off the hands of Masseri. Little bit long.
That was the shot I was talking about, right? Take a shot down the field and hit him with a double move, had him open, And it was sometimes that's just a play, great play, just out of reach for the receiver. But that was a great double move out there on the corner. And I think they're going to come back to that at some point in the game. They hit it in the first quarter. They almost had a completion here on it. Maybe later in the game come back to that because that looks like that's what's open there.
New look formation for Dayton. Stetson brings 4. Now a 5th comes in, and Schondelmeyer goes down. Jaden Clark comes in to record the sack. He now goes down as he's heading off the field. But really the first time we have seen anybody get even within a few feet of Bryce Schondelmeyer today. And credit to Stetson, who we've seen offensively. So they stopped the clock with 1:30 to go.
Yeah, they brought Stetson, Clark. They brought Clark off the blitz, and that's when you bring more than you can block, especially in this situation. He just comes right off the corner right there. He's lined up, great disguise, lined up over the receiver and kind of take off as he'll call his hike. Timed it great, and that's what you want to see, though. You want to kind of see your defense step up, make the plays when they can and when they have the opportunity, and force a punt. And for Stetson, this is best case scenario. You score, you stop them, it's 4th down, looking to punt, and you get the ball back with a possible chance to score and then get the ball back at halftime.
Stetson team, they didn't even need to go to the locker room. They made the adjustment on offense. They figured it out defensively. They've got a chance to do some more with this in the final 1:39. Still have a timeout left as well, as Dayton is forced to bring out Logan Forkham and the punt team for the first time.
Yeah, that drive kind of surprised me. I thought UD was going to take a little bit more clock, but when you have only a couple incomplete passes, I understand the meaning to take a chance and trust the offense to get the ball in the end zone there.
Gets rid of it, low line driver. Will Secker gets away from a tackle and picks up some extra yardage. And Stetson now starting just shy of midfield. And don't look now, they've really got a shot to at least get some points on the board here.
Yeah, if you can get 3 on the board here and go into the halftime with 2 scoring possessions and get the ball back, that adds some confidence. You clean up some of the minor things that they had, secure the defense up a little bit more. You're right back in this game.
Kicking game was really the one thing you knew you had coming into the year for Stetson. Daniel Holbrook was preseason All-Pioneer League, but has struggled a little bit this year. Has a decently strong leg, though. To the outside. Small gap for Trey Clark. The target for Holbrook is around the 35-yard line. You've got a little bit of backwind as well.
Yeah. And you don't want to give Dayton back the ball on this possession, so you kind of want to eat. It's a balance of eating up the play clock, but also snapping the ball and getting as many plays in as you can for positive yards.
Over the middle, Alexander finds his man, and another chance to make a man miss. Malachi Townsend angles out of bounds.
It's a great play to make a guy miss, and great awareness to get out of bounds right away once you make that miss. They still have a timeout, and that's what you kind of want. This is another drive that's set up great for Stetson and what they want to do. If you're UD, you have to bear down and get a stop right here.
Approaching field goal range. Alexander sets his feet. Over the middle, it wasn't there.
Alexander pass over the middle, incomplete.
And with that incomplete, they got time now to regroup, huddle up, get your. Right now, you have a couple plays before the end of the half. You want to make sure you get the right offense in there for the defense that they're playing. And you want to make sure you get the right personnel in there. You want to make sure you get the right play call. You don't have to rush right now. You still have a timeout, but you want to make sure that this is effective and positive yardage.
Plenty of time for Alexander. Nothing open. Now he throws into double coverage. Dropped it in there, but it's pried loose. Well, that was a great throw. He was looking for Austin Hill again on back-to-back plays. He puts it into a tight window, but secondary forces the incompletion, and it's third down.
Yeah, as he's running, he kind of points to the receiver to go upfield, and that once again is called plastering. When the quarterback scrambles, you get to the closest receiver, and there was 3 UD guys around the guy, and that was still a great throw. He put it in the window, but great defensive play right there.
Alexander faces pressure right away, and it's incomplete to the far side.
Great timely blitz right there by UD. You don't want him to have last play. He had a kind of a long time to kind of read the defense, even though he scrambled out. Here it was third down. Put some pressure on him, make him get the ball out of his hands really quick.
Zion Griffin couldn't hang on to that pass along the sideline, and those about 4 yards keep Stetson out of field goal range, and decision is made by Mike Jasper to go for it on 4th and 10. Over the middle, it is caught. Flag comes in late, but the pass is complete to Townsend, and a huge 4th down conversion from the Hatter offense.
Big time play right there. You get across the middle, you get a dig route across the middle, fights off a defender, quarterback puts it right on the money, makes a great diving play to extend the drive.
Check on this penalty. Flag came in from the backside official pretty late. Like, potentially pass interference.
Pass interference. Defense. That penalty is declined. The result of the play is a first down. Stetson has opted to keep the clock stopped. It will start on the snap.
There you have it, and now you're well into field goal range, but on the edge of the red zone, you've got a timeout. Maybe think it's 6 here.
Yeah, the playbook's still open. You don't have to rush anything. You can take your time, go through your progression, and if you're UD, you need somebody to step up and make a big play right here.
Pressure comes right away, but Alexander gets it to the outside, and Sean Jones stays on his feet to get the first down.
Now they're going to hurry up. They're trying to get as many plays in as they can and keep UD in this defense because they have a personnel that they like.
Target Jones again, but Alexander misfires. It's incomplete. Got a chance, though, to relax a little bit now for Stetson with 20 seconds to play in the first half.
Yeah, the last play on the completion, I think is corner down here with Nine-Can Cope. He kind of slipped on the transition out of the back pedal, and that left him open for the completion to get a couple more yards. But you just need to secure those things up, especially in the red zone. Things are going to happen fast.
Batted away. Alexander tried to check it down. Andrew Janaszak, the Notre Dame transfer, right in his face.
Yeah, that's a big time play right there, because if he was able to make that completion, had a running back kind of open on the side. But that's what you need. You need your guys to step up and put forth a great defense. This is that bend but don't break we was talking about a little earlier. You know, give them yards, but when it comes down to 17 seconds before the half, you got to bear down and leave them with at least a field goal, or at most a field goal.
On third down. Time for Alexander. Scramble drill to the end zone. It's intercepted. A red carpet going the other way. Vincent Ferenzi walks off the first half to the half.
That's a great play. Once again, quarterback kind of rolled out. Was able to pass to the receiver and get a nice pick six.
Vincent Ferenzi had a pick in the home opener against Thomas More and has another one here. Not just a goal line stand, but goal line to goal line for the Flyers and Vincent Ferenzi. 7 interceptions in his high school career. 3 of them went the other way for touchdowns. How about this return?
Yeah, you get the quarterback rolling out, and that's, once again, you just try to find the nearest receiver, and the quarterback didn't see him at all. He thought he had him right open there in the end zone. Didn't see him. We're going to come in there, intercept that, and now you got all but green grass ahead of you.
Vincent Ferenzi goes 99 yards to the house, and that puts an exclamation point on the half for Dayton, and really pulls the rug out from a Stetson offense that had their way late in that first half and were set to maybe make it a 3-score game. Right back to the drawing board for the Hatters and their crew.
Yeah, we talk about worst case scenario. That was the worst case scenario for Stetson there. You have the momentum. You want to at least get 3 on the board. You want to take a shot at the end zone because you have the time. But that's what you clear up and clean up at the post game and also at halftime.
So we will step aside. Enjoy the performance from the Dayton Flyer Band. Dayton comfortable up 42-14 at the half.
The University of Dayton Marching Band is under the direction of Professor Kenneth Will. The Assistant Director is Professor James Leslie. The Color Guard Coordinator is Sarah Huffman. Our drum majors are Max Drexler, Daphne Loffersweiler, and Ashley Muir. Our CEO is Rachel Cleverman, and assistants are Trent Lugan and Gavin Ryder. Students, alumni, family, and friends, the University of Dayton is proud to present the Pride of Dayton. boys to men to Belleville DeVoe, today we're bringing back the era of boy bands. Here is NSYNC's Tearing Up My Heart. Dayton becomes K-Pod Demon Hunters as we celebrate the global wave of K-pop with BTS's Dynamite. We close out our show with the boy band that defined an era. We're throwing it back to TRL, flip phones, and frosted tips. Backstreet's back, all right. Dayton.
Fans, at this time, we ask you please direct your attention to the track for a performance from UD Dance.
I've been everywhere, man, looking for someone who can please me, love me all night long. I've been everywhere, man, looking for you, babe, somewhere in the crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We almost back up. Back here as we get set to start the second half between the Dayton Flyers and the Stetson Hatters, as Dayton really made their mark on that first half and finished things off with a 99-yard Vincent Ferenzi interception return touchdown to go back up 42-14. For Stetson, there was a lot of good to take out of the final 5 minutes of that half until the very end, but Dayton really put them in a deep hole based off what they did in the passing game early on.
Yeah, Dayton has come out firing on all cylinders. Their game plan is working. The players are executing. And when you have, 5 touchdown passes in the first half, that means things are going pretty well for you.
In that first half, Bryce Schondelmeyer had just one incompletion for the majority of it. He finished 14 for 17 with 253 yards and 5 touchdowns. The 5 touchdowns in a half ties the school record for most in a half, and he's one shy of tying the school record for most passing touchdowns in a game. And these were not light little checkdowns. Dayton was airing it down the field.
Yeah, their connection and timing with the receivers is on, and that's what you want to see. You have a transfer come in, it takes a couple games to kind of get them acclimated to the system, and especially game-type situations, but they look like they have it all figured out right now.
And so
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
we
Testing.
get set to begin the second half. Stetson will get the ball. Taking a look at the Pioneer League schedule, we are the only noon start in the league this week. Marist and Butler, 1 o'clock start. Moorhead State and Presbyterian the same. In the later game this afternoon, St. Thomas heads out west to face preseason favorites San Diego. Just gonna look at the Vincent Ferenzi interception return touchdown. He's played quite well in his 2 games on this field this year. When Stetson set to get the ball back again, you lost a lot of that momentum. You had spent so much time and energy building to the tail end of that first half with the interception return. But what do you want to see out of this first drive?
Yeah, I want to see them. Honestly, they can. If I'm them, I'm trying to continue how we finished and ended the second quarter, right? The first half, they had a couple, they was able to sustain the drive, they was able to run, they was able to pass the ball when they wanted, they was able to move the ball down the field. It was just that one mistake by the quarterback of throwing it when he probably should have thrown it away right before the half to secure 3 points. But that's the confidence. So I would imagine them coming out and just sticking to what they did there and seeing if they can build on that.
And Stetson was driving down, about ready to make it a 35-21 game. And with the ball at the 10-yard line, threw an interception to finish off the half. Stetson offense set to start at the 25-yard line. We saw all sorts of different personnel. We saw 2 different quarterbacks take snaps. Only one of them had passing attempts. That was Cale Alexander. But we saw 4 different ball carriers on the ground, 5 different players catch passes in the first half for Stetson. And again, all of that is very much part of the routine for Mike Jasper's team.
Yeah, it seems like right now they just kind of see what personnel they have and trying to throw different guys in certain situations, game time situations, to see how they respond. So when you get into conference play, you kind of know what you have working with.
Hands it off on first down. 36 yards rushing in the first half for Stetson. Again, a step in the right direction after they really did nothing on the ground last week, but hoping for a little bit more. The 2 touchdown drives were set on just 5 to 10 yard plays for Stetson. They really marched down the field well, but we're not able to do it with any sort of consistency in the first half.
Yeah, when you can run the ball, and those touchdown drives, they was able to get 4 or 5 yards of run. That's a great tackle for loss right there.
Into the backfield. That's a TFL for Colin Ansel. His first TFL of the year, the redshirt sophomore at Upper Arlington in Columbus.
That's a great play. You got penetration in the backfield, and when you can meet the quarterback and running back right in that handoff spot, you give the offense no time to react, and that's a great play right there. And that's what you want to see coming out of halftime. You want to see your defense put up a stop and get them in 3rd and long, and force them to make a play, force them in long down situations.
Third down and 12. Designed roll for Alexander. Just checks it down. That's incomplete. Was looking for Benzia, but that would have only gone for a yard or 2. And Dayton's defense does its job out of the locker room as they force a 3 and out.
Yeah, that's what you couldn't ask for anything more. Get a 3 and out, get the offense back the ball, and give your quarterback more time to come and do what he's been doing great today.
They blocked a punt in the first half. Time they back up into protection. This is a booming kick from Gonda. Sends Maseri about 20 yards back, but he's got blockers, and Maseri comes around the edge. Flag comes in on the far side of the field late. Stop and go action for Maseri. That's a return of about 25 yards all the way out near midfield. That flag came in from the far side, way away from the play, but it looks like this is coming back.
That was a great kick return.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Receiving team, number 5. 10 yards from the spot of the foul. First down, Dayton.
Maseri's dangerous with his legs. He's been awesome catching passes today, but the punt return brought back, and this backs Dayton way up. They're about 30 yards further behind than where they thought from their own 15-yard line.
And if you're Dayton, you're just looking to continue what you did in the first half. Things worked well. He was able to get the ball in your playmaker's hands and control the clock.
It's Luke Hansen on first down. Pretty mixed bag for Dayton running the ball in the first half as Hansen gets his 7th carry, and that ties him with Mason Hackett for most on the team in the game.
Yeah, when you have two running backs that kind of split the workload with, that helps out a lot, especially as the season goes on and you kind of get into the more of a conference play schedule.
Again on the ground, and no gain this time for Hansen. Only had 10 yards last week, which was a season low. That was following the 131-yard outburst against Thomas More prior to the bye week.
Yeah, they both have big play capability, and when you're kind of, and now I would imagine that UD is going to feed them the ball a lot more this second half. They obviously, you know, quarterback did what he did in the passing game in the first half, but this one you're going to control the clock and leave Stetson without the ball as many times.
Schondelmeyer finds Maseri near the sticks. He swerves out of bounds, but picks up the first down.
Great play call. Just threw a little out route, a little 10-yard out. Stop at the sticks and throw out of bounds. That's exactly what you wanted to do. You knew Stetson was going to be kind of looks like a cover 3 where they dropped the cornerback, and you had the numbers from the numbers to the sideline wide open there, about 10 yards.
Schandelmeyer forced out, throws on the run, looking for Laco, and he got it. A toe tap catch into Stetson territory, but now the call is reversed after some official discussion.
The ruling on the field is an incomplete pass. Second down.
It's a great throw, great catch, great adjustment by the receiver right there.
That is all arm strength on the throw from Schandelmeyer. Awfully close.
Yeah, you threw it in perfect position, and that's a solid attempt by the receiver. Their timing is down, and they are looking like they are firing on all cylinders on the offensive side of the ball.
Set to be Bryce Schandelmeyer's most efficient game in the passing game, and it really hasn't been close. Hands it off to Hansen on second down.
Yeah, it looks like he's in total control of the offense. He's seeing the defense well. He's knowing what they're doing. He's in control of the playbook. They trust him with the play calling, and he's out there and he's just kind of managing the game very well and taking what the defense giving him in the pass game and also getting in the right protection for when they blitz.
Schandelmeyer over the middle to Masseri. He's upended at the 45. But just chunk play after chunk play for Masseri. Does come up a little bit gimpy as he hobbles off to the sideline.
Well, yeah, that's what they was getting into in the first quarter. Those hash marks to hash marks there. Stetson's in a cover 3, which means they drop the two corners back in thirds and the safety in thirds. And what that does is that leaves the hash marks wide open right about 10 to 12 yards. And if you get a receiver in there, just kind of hit them in that window, you're going to constantly get 5 to 8, 12 yards of completion.
Masseri up to 143 yards. Handoff, Hackett gets swarmed by green jerseys, and he goes down to the backfield. Jackson Berry, the transfer from Jackson State, leads the charge for Stetson.
Yeah, that was a great kind of outside blitz there with the corner and the linebacker. You kind of give them the same shell as the play before, but you send the guy now, and they sent somebody, and they, once again, when you send more than they can block, good things typically happen for the defense.
Hackett counters down the center and it's up about 2 yards.
Listen, they've been really stout in the run defense. They've been filling gaps. The D-line has been staying gap sound. Linebackers have been flying to the ball. Corners are making tackles. So from the run defense side of the scheme, if you will, they're performing really well.
Just 33 yards on the ground for Dayton in the game. It's after Stetson allowed almost 200 last week. The Hatters coming in allowed 206 yards on the ground per game this season. Schandelmeyer to the air. He connects. And a fight near the sticks. It's awfully close for Donovan Weatherly. And they say he got there for a first down.
Great play call. Once again, you know what you need to do. Get it. A little hitch route right there on the hash marks, and you get them turn, get a couple yards for the first down. But I think Stetson, their main focus, it looks like from the defensive standpoint, was to stop the run all week in practice. That's kind of what they practice. And now they have a little gaps in the defense and passing wise, but if you can secure those with the run stopping, you have a solid defense on your hands.
Schandelmeyer pitches it ahead for Laco around the edge. It's set for him all the way up the near sideline inside the 30 as Gavin Laco turns on the afterburners.
I love that play call. You get your guys, get your speedster the ball on the outside and let him turn that corner. And this is set up by great blocking right there by the running back and also the receiver. You see the receiver coming in. Great block there. Receiver's holding his block down the field. And when you have guys blocking for guys, that just makes big plays happen all the time.
A true multi-tool guy. He's a receiver here at Dayton, but he was a dual threat quarterback in high school. And Dayton pulls out the bag of tricks as he throws, this time as a flag comes in to the corner of the end zone. It's incomplete for Thulin, who was wide open, but he ran out of room against the sideline. But based off the initial indication, this wouldn't have counted anyway.
Holding, offense, number 64, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Well, we said he was a quarterback, and then he goes to the air right away. And
He was open as a solid play call. You had a holding on the offensive side, but that's the kind of stuff that you throw in there as a little wrinkle to make sure the defense stays sound. But also, when you're putting stuff on film, you want to give other teams stuff to scout a little bit differently to kind of slow them down.
Schondelmeyer through the air, nails Basari down the middle. Basari inside the 10-yard line, and Dayton's knocking on the door again.
Yeah, once again, that's just a nice little skinny post right there. You had the corner on top. The linebacker didn't get enough depth, and he was able to hit him in completion right over the top. But that's what they've been. That's what's open all game.
That puts Masari over 150 yards receiving on the game. He's up to 169, and Bryce Schondelmeyer has 333 passing yards. Keep it on the ground with Hansen, and he goes around the edge for a walk-in touchdown. First touchdown on the ground for Dayton today.
Great way to bounce that outside. He was able to break contain, and if you're Stetson's defense, you have to learn that the outside man has to force that ball back inside, and he just gets reached right there. The tight end was able to put a good block on the corner and force the guy to inside, and he was able to bounce it out for the touchdown.
It's Brown Norton in on the block for Dayton. Sets the table for Luke Hansen's third touchdown of the year. EAT is no good from Smart. Dayton still comfortable as they're now up 48-14, and really the first marching type of drive we've seen from the Flyer offense in this game.
Yeah, that's the first drive of the second half. You want to make sure that you're controlling all facets of the game, with special teams getting a good kickoff return, even though a punt return, I should say, even though it was a flag there. Then also running the ball, they was able to put together some nice runs there and score on them, but also passing. So Dayton looks like they're in full control right now on offense, and you just want to see that continue. Right now, when you have a lead like that, you don't want to see guys kind of just packing it up and saying, okay, it's in the bug. You want to make sure that they're still running the right route, still executing. And on the defensive side of the ball, you want to make sure they don't let up at all either, right? You want to make sure they're still flying around, making plays into their reads, and, kind of putting up a great second half.
12-play drive for the Flyers goes 85 yards and eats up almost 7 minutes of clock. That's the longest touchdown drive we have seen from Dayton today. Roy Flowers up ahead. He gets helicoptered at the 23-yard line.
If you're Stetson right now, I think you want to come out and you kind of know what the score is, but once again, there's no 28, 30-point play, right? You have to learn and do one play at a time, keep focused, and you just want to see them put together something sustainable. You want to if it's the run game, you want to make sure you guys are blocking and finishing blocks. If it's passing game, you want to make sure you guys are running the right routes, quarterback is making the right reach. You want to put something in confidence there for the second half.
Dale Alexander's still out there at quarterback. Rolls and throws on the run at Ferenzi, who almost had his second. That was near deja vu for Cale Alexander, who threw a pick six to Ferenzi to end the first half.
That actually wasn't a bad play call. It had somebody open underneath. He Alexander kind of overthrew him a little bit. And when you kind of overthrow somebody, especially anywhere in the middle of the field, it leads to maybe potential interceptions because that's where all the defenders are at.
Alexander hands it off, and a burst of speed through as Caden Betts moves the chains. We saw a lot of Betts early on. His carries started to slow down as the first half wore along, but that's a nice game.
Yeah, that's a positive game. That's what you want to see. You want to see positive plays coming down the stretch of this game, and you want to put good film out there so you have great stuff to coach. Obviously, there's some things they can clean up, but if you can put together solid drives the rest of this game, that gives you confidence going into the rest of the season.
That's again around the end. It's near the line to gain.
And once again, Stetson, they've been able to put together a few good drives. The one right before half obviously stopped from interception, but that was a great drive they put together there, and they was able to really get them going. And so they have all the capability, let's say that, to do. It's just doing it consistently and making the right reads as a quarterback to put your people in a position of success.
The Stetson offense has looked their best today. They have really been punch for punch with Dayton. It just hasn't really been there all the time. As Betts drives forward, pick up the first down. And these are products of a young team, and when you're still, we've talked about time and time again, trying to solve things, and that is part of what makes these last 20 minutes so important for these Hatters. You're really still in a situation where you're figuring things out at a lot of different positions, and these game reps will really pay you dividends, it feels like, down the line.
Yeah, it definitely will. Once it builds confidence, but also you get to coach people and coach them up on film in real life situations and not just practice. So you want to put them to the fire and see what they're made of.
Throw to the near side. It is intercepted. Josh Williams with the pick. His second of the year, and Dayton takes over.
That was a great play by Williams right there. He was able to sit down there, and he was able to read the quarterback's eyes, and he broke before the receiver broke on that out route, and he beat him to the ball. So that's a great play by Williams there.
A local kid from Dayton, former Wayne High School star, with the interception for the Flyers.
But once again, that's Stetson, though. They did it at the end of the half. You have a good drive going, and then make a mistake like that, give UD back the ball, and that's the stuff you had to clean up in film.
That was not a clean tackle, as a spin around from Levi Mail, who's into the game for Dayton, but his knee never hit the ground, and he accelerates forward for a first down. Trevor Andrews said at the beginning of the season you figured it would be Hackett and Hansen as kind of your 1-2, but he was really impressed by Levi Mail, the redshirt junior, as he kind of separated himself from the rest of the pack as that number 3 guy. Now this is a carry down the far side on a keeper, and we've got a new quarterback in the game for Dayton as well, as this is Liam Peronsky, the 3rd string that's in.
Yeah, you get these guys in who now you get game reps on film, and that's huge for coaching, that's huge for confidence, and that's huge for just player personnel. And guys get excited when you get guys in there, you rally around them. So I like.
Peronsky hands it off. Mail inside the 30, and he picks up the first down.
It's a great run, great blocking, and this is what you want. Like, say you're up, you have a big lead. You want to make sure that you eat up some clock. A couple minutes left in the 3rd quarter. You want to make sure you get your guys in and continue to execute at a high level.
Peronsky directs traffic, and he shoots it over top the target. He's looking for Leroy Lewis. Flag in the offensive backfield. Phillips is coming back. First appearance of the season for Peronsky, just his second as a Flyer.
Holding. Offense. Number 86. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
It's on Bryce Cowgill, the tight end.
Yeah, look, you alluded to it earlier. When you have a game like this where so many things are going well, you can always get a little bit better at stuff, and penalties is one thing that they're going to look to kind of secure up, because when you get in bigger games and closer games, you want to make sure that your guys are disciplined enough not to give penalties and give away yardage and down.
Mail around the outside into the second level, and Mail picks up almost all that yardage back.
Great run read, great blocking. It's the same kind of outside zone read, if you will. Or sweep. They get the ball to the outside, pull people, pull the guard out to the side, and running back blocks, receiver blocks. Just get some yards down the field and keep the clock running.
It's a gain of 17 for Levi Mail. It's the carry again, and it's double teamed down after a short pickup.
Yeah, great defensive penetration right there by Stetson. That's what you want to see, though. You want to see your guys still fighting. You want to see them still, especially with a young team you alluded to earlier. When you have a young team and the game's kind of getting out of hand, you want to make sure that they don't give up and make sure that they fight, because you are putting out film out there. And you want to make sure you have good film that you can coach and teach on.
Handoff down the left side. It's a couple of yards as Dayton's now down to the fourth strings, and running back Mikey Hess on the carry. True freshman from Newark, Ohio.
Yeah, when in games like this, you can get guys in that can get some game reps. It makes it nice, and the starters are kind of, if you will, out watching, and they're rooting the guys on. So it brings a good team feel to the game.
Dayton needs one more snap. This is fourth down, by the way, as they go ahead, and I don't know if they got there. It was Hess, and he got beaten back right at the line of scrimmage, and Stetson's defense gets a stop on fourth down.
That's a great stop. That's a big stop, and you want the coaches to know, if you're a Stetson defensive player, that, hey, I'm playing to the end of the whistle, the end of the game, no matter what the score is, no matter what the situation is. You can count on me to give full effort, and that's what you want to see, especially out of a young.
So the Flyers give it up on downs. Stetson brings out the offense, still working with the first strings, but again, there are a lot of pseudo first strings on this Stetson team. Cale Alexander off his second interception. It off down the left side.
Yeah, you're Stetson. You're just, like I said, once again, you're just looking to get some sustainable drives, get multiple plays in this drive, keep these offense off the field, but also you want, like I said, you want to see what your guys are made of and how they're going to react being down this big. Are they going to give up, or are they going to keep fighting?
That's
That brings us
the
to
third quarter.
the end of the third quarter. Dayton in command. You're on family weekend as the Flyers up 48-14 in their Pioneer Football League opener. Step aside and be back for the conclusion of this one as Dayton tries to move to 1-0 in the league on the other side. Great crowd on hand here on Family Weekend. And the Flyers have given them a show. Put up nearly 50 points. Dayton's got bulk of backups in, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Stetson just trying to solve the puzzle of their offense right now as they work through this fourth quarter.
Yeah, they just want to see, what they have and what their guys are made of. It's still relatively early in the college football season. You still have a lot of games left, and you get into conference play, and you want to make sure some guys are battle tested. So you might leave them in there longer than some think you might should, but you want to make sure that they get the reps in, so you have coachable tape and they can make the adjustments as needed, and you can trust them out there.
Michael Dempsey gets that carry for Stetson, 5th different ball carrier for the Hatters in the game. Handoff goes around the edge for Zion Griffin, and he did not get there. And it's 4th down.
Great defensive play right there. Great defensive series to get out there, get them to punt the ball. Well, we'll get them in 4th down, let's say. I don't know if they're going to punt yet, but you get the DBs and the linebackers flowing to the ball and playing. And, when it's family weekend, you get some guys in the game that bring some excitement to the fans and the family, and they're happy to see their guys out there playing.
A lot of Flyer faithful still cheering here in the 4th. On 4th down, handoff right up the middle, and Griffin got it.
It's a great, solid run right up the middle. Get the yardage you need for the 1st down. Continue to drive. Still put out there, and I'm going to keep saying this because that's what you need in a game like this. You just need to continue to fight to show the coaches that, hey, you can count on me in any part of the game.
Throw down the near side, and a nice catch made by Bo Bankston as he fought up against the DB and just got loose.
That's a great play. They had great time. Quarterback had a good time. He just threw a great ball, 50-50 ball up there. But this is what Stetson does: is they show glimpses of being able to move the ball, show glimpses of being able to complete passes. It's just sometimes that drives comes to a halt.
Dempsey on the carry picks up about 5 yards.
This drive reminds me of the drive right before halftime, right? Marching down the field, getting the 1st downs, controlling the clock. So they have all the signs, and that's what can kind of be frustrating as a coach is you can do it. It's just trying to do it on a consistent basis.
This is quite a rebuild undertaking that Mike Jasper has taken on, but it's a guy that had a ton of success, back-to-back 11-win seasons at Bethel, his alma mater in Tennessee. At the NAIA level that he knows pretty well. He's brought some transfers in from the NAIA, played a couple of NAIA teams earlier this year. He was the last player from that level that was drafted, picked by the Bills in 2011 in the 7th round, and a brief NFL career. Throw on the run, and it's on the money to Bankston as Alexander finds him on the far side to put his team in the red zone.
Yeah, when you have a coach that has NFL experience, he knows what he's talking about. He knows he can get guys. Guys can trust what he says. And now it's just getting the game reps to build the trust in your players and also for them to feel the confidence to know, hey, we can do this because this is another great drive they're putting together.
44-20 in his 6 years at Bethel. It's a Stetson team that's fallen on some difficult times. It's been almost 2 years since they last beat a Division I opponent. That was Presbyterian in October of 2023. This goes backwards on the run by Zion Griffin. Joe Kingsbury takes him down for the TFL.
A great read by Kingsbury right there. You see the O-line pull in, or you see run read, and you fire down, and that's what you coach your linebackers to do. When you see Raw get ball, he's able to fire the gap and maybe make a secure tackle and tackle for loss.
Pressure in Alexander's face. He chucks it at the feet of his O-line, incomplete. And the officials may meet here to see if this is a flag.
It looked like that was a busted play from the offensive line. It looked like they thought one thing and Alexander thought another.
The ruling on the field is the quarterback did not get out of the tackle box. Intentional grounding. Offense, number 15. The foul is lost it down at the spot of the foul. It'll be third down.
And that may have very well just doomed this drive for Stetson, and just seen it on some of the drives. They've had two really good ones. They've had many drives that didn't really go anywhere, but they've had a couple like this that have shown a lot of promise, and then they've just done one thing that has really halted all the momentum they've had. This pulls them outside field goal range, and they face a 3rd and 25. Alexander checks it down. Dempsey dives forward, but still well short.
Yeah, and that's the type of stuff that, once again, is frustrating as a coach, but it's also, you can find the silver lining and can be promising, because those are things that are easily coachable and correctable, if you will. Let's say this decision making by Alexander right before the half, right? Just throw that ball out, get us this 3 yards. Let us kick a field goal. Things like that are easily changed in film and in practice. So you want to take the good, but also work on the things that could be worked on. But they have a promising team.
And has to go for this. Alexander's just got to airmail this out if he can. He escapes. He's going to try and run. And Kingsbury guides him out of bounds, well short of the line to gain.
Yeah, that one, I mean, that's probably as good as a punt if you're in that situation. You're kind of either maybe out of field goal range, or you need to get 7 or 6, if you will. And so to get somebody down there, get as many yards as you can if you can't throw it, and force you need to go 80 yards down the field.
So Dayton brings the offense back out on the field. Led by Liam Peronsky, who's making his first appearance of the season. Peronsky rolls, throws on the run, and at the feet of his target, Verbansik. Peronsky, another prolific high school player from this area. Dayton recruits the area very, very well. All-Ohio selection out of Tippecanoe High School in Tip City. Making his second career appearance as a Flyer. Played in one game last season. Levi Mail accelerates towards the marker, and he picks up 10 to earn the first down.
And I like how they're still keeping to their same playbook. They're still
The result is a first down. Number 5 of the offense must go out for one play due to a helmet off.
They still keep to the same scheme. They're keeping everything the same as if Schumacher was in. They want to make sure that they can get their guys in, get game reps with the same play calling, see how they react.
Peronsky through the air. And he connects for a short yardage pickup with Trevor Henke. Or, excuse me, rather, that's Jackson Turner for Dayton. Redshirt freshman from Toledo, picks up a few yards.
Yeah, just right here, you just want to see them put together a good drive. You want to see them read their defense right and make all the right reads.
Mail. About a half yard shy.
Yeah. If you're Stetson defense, you want to see guys still flying around, still communicating all the calls, still have some type of excitement. They'll keep playing because you want to make sure that they're not giving up on their players and on their team.
Peronsky takes a shot down the near side, and it's incomplete. Ryan Martin got two hands on the football, but he was way out of bounds.
Yeah, great defensive play right there by the corner. Number two, he's able to push the guy. Once again, if you're on a corner, you're on the island, the sideline is your friend. That's an extra defender, if you will. So if you can push the guy and lean on him to get him outside, that makes a tight window for the quarterback to throw the ball, and he was able to hit him, force him to throw it out of bounds.
Keeper for Peronsky. Turf Monster might have got him there as he spins around for a couple of yards. For Dayton, you're on the road for your next couple. You've got Moorhead State followed by Valpo. Then you host Butler and Presbyterian. It is going to be a very difficult couple of weeks after that, though, as you've got the top two teams in the PFL on back-to-back weeks, including a West Coast trip to San Diego. And then you host defending champions Drake a couple weeks after that. It's the two of the final 3 weeks of the season before Dayton wraps up the year at Davidson. His throw to the outside is complete to Verbancic.
And that's why situations like this are so important for your teams, because when you do get into the tougher part of the schedule, when you do run into the conference champs, when you do get later in the season, you want to make sure guys are battle tested when you can trust to put them in the game, especially as the season goes on. Some injuries might occur where guys might be banged up, and you want to make sure you can get your guys in and trust that they're going to be able to play and execute what you're asking them to do. So this is the perfect time to see that.
Got a timeout on the field.
The ruling on the field is a completed catch. The previous play is under further review.
Referees want another look at this. Tightrope catch along the sideline that you see there.
Yeah, that was a great blitz pickup by the running back there. When you get a guy coming off and you're rolling out to the right side, you want to make sure the blocking is secure. And for a running back to step up and take on that block, that says a lot about who he is and how he views his teammates and willing to stick his neck out there to make the block.
Dayton team that really has answered expectations and field and then some for this team so far. It's on their way to proving to 3-1.
Yeah, there's a lot of positives you can take from this game, and last week too, winning a close one coming, and so you have a lot of team building and confidence building up, and it's all trending in the right direction right now for you. So hopefully they take this momentum, work on the things they need to work on, correct a few minor things from today's game, and continue the great upward trajectory that they're going.
Let's get another look at this play along the sideline. Throws a little low from Peronsky. It's tough to see where Verbancic caught that. The angle that the officials are looking at, that's really the one that could provide you the best look. I mean, you see it straight on, but it's kind of right against the turf. Really hard to tell. Call on the field was a catch for a first down.
I don't know if there's enough evidence to overturn that from just what we're looking at.
Are taking quite a look at this. A look at the slow-mo and tend to agree with you there. I just don't know if there's enough there. The question also is, though, did Verbancic have possession with at least some body part touching in bounds before he rolled out along the sideline?
Yeah, I think they're looking at two things here. They're looking at, did he catch the ball, one, or did it hit the ground? And then two, if he did catch it, where was he at when he caught the ball? Was his leg out of bounds? So it takes a little bit to get used, but it's tough angle there to see, and so I don't know if they have enough to overturn it. That's that block I was talking about by the running back. Great block up linebacker to free up.
It's Levi Mail. Real hard to tell. And again, if you have even a blade of grass along the sideline touching you when you first establish possession, your whole body's considered out
After
of
review,
bounds.
the ruling on the field of a catch is upheld. First down, Dayton.
So the call stands. Again,
Stetson
really close.
loses one timeout due to the challenge.
It was a Stetson challenge, and so the Hatters drop a timeout.
Yeah, but in that situation, you have to challenge that because that can be the difference in first down or getting the ball back, and so you have to challenge that play.
Mail gets dropped for a loss.
Great run stop right there. They blitzed it's like outside linebacker right there, number 30. They blitzed him through the gap, and he was able to shoot the gap and make the tackle. And that, but once again, I keep saying, I'm gonna say it to the end of the game. That's what you want to see, though. You want to see your guys still fight because they're fighting for playing time at this point, right? You want to make sure that they can be trusted on the field.
Spinorama through the middle. Mikey Hess gets a few yards to set up a 3rd and long. For Stetson, they head back home for their next couple. Davidson next week, followed by Morehead State. 3 of the next 4 then on the road.
If you're Stetson, like I said, the defense held up so great on the run game. You corrected what you made the mistakes on last game. And now it's just going back, securing some things in the passing game and passing defense, and also making sure that you don't make mistakes on offense to kill drives that are going really great.
Dowgill can't wriggle free. It's 4th down for the Flyers.
That's a good stop by Stetson's defense right there. Force a punt, get the offense back the ball, and that way, one thing I keep going back to film because I know when you go and you watch film as a former player, you want to, every time you get an opportunity, you want to make sure you get a good rep. And that's what they're doing now. They're making sure they show good reps on the film so they show the coach that they can be trusted.
And Lavelle on the punt. Cornered out of bounds and around the 10-yard line. Flag comes in late as the return man got bumped. Will Secker for Stetson, who called for the fair catch. So to get the ball back with about 4.5 minutes to go.
But yeah, once again, that's one of those penalties we talked about that just could be easily avoided. And so that's the stuff that you can clean up in film and still make sure that, you let the guys know, hey, we played a great game on all facets, but we can still clean up things and still get a lot better.
Kick catch interference, offense. That foul is 15 yards from the end of the kick. Automatic, 1st down, Stetson.
Improves the field position a little bit for the Hatters. This rebuild's going to take a little bit of time, but a team that brought in 50-plus true freshmen has got their work cut out for them from a development standpoint.
Enforced from the spot of the foul.
Yeah, when you bring in that many people, you have that many true freshmen, they're going to be growing pains, if you will, call it that. But once again, you just want to see those guys, put them in position to see how they react when it's a live game, and you're going against an opponent. How are you going to react in the game time situations?
It's a nice size gain for Chris Stevenson on the keeper. We've seen the sophomore quarterback from Tampa do a little bit with his legs.
And now they get into the hurry-up offense, try to get as many plays in as you can, but once again, you still want to be effective and try to get as many yardage as you can.
It's a draw again for Stevenson, who spins across the 40 to pick up the first down.
Another great call right there, great run. And this is what Stetson does, though. They get together and they put together great plays, get 8 to 10 yards in a row, 2-3 plays like that, and they get drives going. It's just for some reason once it either gets down to the red zone, they don't really know how to finish the drive, and that's one thing that you can coach up.
Zion Griffin picks up a couple.
Yeah. Once again, this is promising though. You're getting at the end of this game, you're getting to putting together great plays. And if you're UD though, you want to make sure that your guys aren't just packing up and saying, okay, well, game's over. You want to make sure they still play well and play hard and read their keys and make plays that are presented to them.
The draw for Stevenson. To the plays that get micromanaged in that film room in a couple days.
Yeah, they do. And because coaches are going to look at everything. And that's one of the things as a player, the coach said, the eye in the sky doesn't lie, right? And so when you're out there on the game and even if the game's out of hand or no matter what the game is, for that play in that film, the score doesn't matter, right? It's just, did you do what you're coached to do and did you execute what we asked you to do? And that's what you want to show them on film. Because when you have a team that has so much turnover and a carousel of players going in and out, you want to show them that, hey, I can be trusted to play when it's time.
It hands it off. Griffin is pushed back. Forward progress right back to the line of scrimmage. 4th down coming up for the Hatters, who don't need to run another play before the 2-minute timeout. Looks like they take another second to talk about this.
Run down.
This is the 2-minute timeout.
So looking ahead for Dayton, again, you got Morehead State on the road coming up next week. A Flyer team that has started the season off well, but to be entirely honest, did the exact same thing last year. You talk about big wins in non-conference. They beat Robert Morris last year, or this year. Last year it was St. Francis here in their season opener that they beat. And the Flyers started things off well. They won a couple games in non-conference. They won their first 3 games in the PFL, but then lost 4 of their final 5 to ultimately falter down the standings a little bit. You're in a pretty similar position. You lost a 1-score game to Morehead State last season, but you've got some veterans, and it feels like for these newer guys, you're at the point in the year, at least on the Dayton side of things, where guys are realizing what their roles are. Things are starting to fall in place. Bryce Schondelmeyer looked incredible today, as it was a record-setting sort of day for him through the air, but you're starting to see that comfortability in your system for really everybody on both sides of the ball, and you're at that point as you enter conference where you want that.
Yeah, you're peaking at the right times. That's what they call it in sports. You're peaking at the right times when you have a great quarterback who's been battle tested now for a couple games, and you can trust that when those games come down in the end of the season and they're close game, 1-score games, he has the capability to put you in the end zone and lead to victory, and that's what you want out of a quarterback.
Stevenson pressured. He gets hit as he throws, but it's complete. And Zion Griffin goes through the middle. The ball popped out. And did Dayton get on it? They sure think they do. And the Flyers do have the football.
Yeah, even though that was 4th down, but once again, that's what Stetson's Achilles heel has been this whole game, is getting a good drive and then stopping for a turnover or stopping because of a penalty or stopping it somehow. And you don't want to see those inflicted wounds, self-inflicted wounds, if you will, when you're playing. And UD has been doing a great job of capitalizing on it, and they show that their defense is still firing around and making plays, even if the game is what it is.
Dayton brings in the true freshman Luke Pennington to play quarterback. And on first down, it's a handoff to Dylan Fitzpatrick. And just see everybody's getting into the game now for the Flyers.
Yeah, it's family weekend. Get guys in the game. Family comes to travel to see you play. It's nice to kind of get out there and let your family cheer for you on the field in a college uniform.
Get a couple more snaps for the offense before this one's all said and done. Another handoff, and Fitzpatrick gets close to the first down.
Yeah, I'm pleasantly, I don't want to say surprised, because I know UD is what they're capable of, but what they did today on offense is it's promising, and it's exciting to see how they're going to finish out the rest of the year with this.
Season high in points for Dayton. They do it to open up their conference season.
And not only did they do it on the offensive side of the ball, special teams did really well. They had some great returns. They had the punt block, and then also on the defensive side of the ball, they was able to hold them to just over 100 yards rushing, under 200 yards passing. So all in all, it was a great team win in all three facets of the game.
Dayton dominates right from the start, and the Flyers improved to 1-0 in the PFL with a controlling 48-14 win over the Stetson Hatters. They moved to 6-1 all time against their conference foes from down south into land. And Dayton really, I think, made a statement today to the rest of the PFL that, again, in all three facets, they are ready for this conference season, as the Flyers really left little doubt in this game.
Yeah, when you can click on all facets of the game in the same game, that's promising and that's exciting. But there's not every game is going to be like that. So you're going to need to know that each facet can step up when they need to for when a game, if the offense is not moving the ball, the defense and special teams step up and vice versa. But that's a great promising win on all facets for UD, and they have a lot to look forward to coming up in the conference play.
Dayton hits the road for their next two against Morehead State and Valpo. They're next at home against their rivals from Indianapolis. The Butler Bulldogs come here on October 18th. And again, at same time, same place, a noon start a few Saturdays from now for the Flyers against the Butler Bulldogs. That'll wrap things up for us. For my partner Josh Copeland, producer Scott Helton, rest of our great crew here at Welcome Stadium. Luke Westpoli saying so long. Final score, Dayton 48 and Stetson 14 as the Flyers cruise to a conference opening win. And they hit the road for their next two. Thanks for tuning in.